Oberon, often referred to as the Paladin Warframe, embodies themes of nature and guardianship. Introduced early in Warframe's lifecycle, Oberon was designed to be a versatile support Warframe, capable of healing allies, dealing damage, and providing crowd control. Despite his thematic appeal and initial popularity, Oberon's kit has seen limited changes, leading to a decline in his effectiveness in the evolving game environment. This video aims to delve into the reasons why Oberon is in dire need of a rework. Through an examination of his current abilities, comparison with other Warframes, and insights from the community, we will explore how a rework could rejuvenate Oberon and make him a more integral part of Warframe's roster. Oberon's abilities reflect his nature-themed design but have struggled to remain effective in Warframe's ever-evolving meta. Before we dive deeper to the pros and cons of the Warframe, I want to share to newer players how his abilities work. This will be short but concise, but if you already know it, then please skip ahead on the next chapter. Oberon's first ability is called Smite, and it lets the Warframe hurl a bolt of energy at an enemy, causing radiation damage and spawning projectiles that seek out additional targets. While useful in lower-level content, Smite's damage falls off quickly in higher-tier missions. His second ability is called Hallowed Ground, which allows Oberon sanctifies the ground in front of him, dealing radiation damage over time to enemies within the area. It also provides status immunity to allies. However, the ability's area of effect and damage output are often seen as lackluster. Moving on, Oberon also have this ability called Renewal, a healing ability that sends out a wave of energy, healing allies over time and granting armor. Despite its potential, the healing rate and energy costs make it less viable compared to other healing abilities in the game. And finally, his ultimate is called Reckoning, that lifts enemies into the air, dealing damage and then slamming them to the ground. If the enemies are killed, they drop health orbs. While visually impressive, Reckoning's damage is underwhelming in higher level content. The Warframe has his own strengths and weaknesses, and I can say that the best feature about Oberon is his versatility. Oberon can heal, deal damage, and provide crowd control. He also gives status immunity with his Hallowed Ground, which is valuable to the game. And finally, he can support the team with his Renewal and Reckoning through healing and health orb drops, not to mention that he can also armor strip when casting Reckoning while Hallowed Ground is active. The only downside though is that one, Oberon has some scaling issues with his abilities. In my opinion, the Warframe's abilities do not scale well into higher level content. He also got high energy costs, especially in team composition, that makes sustaining abilities challenging. And finally, the Warframe gets outclassed by newer Warframes, as other Warframes just offer similar but more powerful and efficient abilities. Compared to Warframes like Trinity Healing, Rhino's tank and support, or even Jade, which has insane support ability, Oberon often falls short in effectiveness. Trinity's Blessing provides instant full heals and damage reduction, while Rhino's Roar significantly boosts damage for allies. And worse, the newer Warframes does it better, and it got more than just health regeneration. Oberon's abilities, while multifaceted, lack the potency and reliability found in other support frames. In addition, Oberon's abilities have not seen significant changes since his release, making them feel outdated. The game's constant evolution, with new Warframes introducing more dynamic and impactful abilities, has left Oberon's kit feeling lackluster. The meta in Warframe has shifted towards faster, more efficient gameplay. Frames that can provide quick, powerful buffs or clear rooms rapidly are favored. Also, the addition of shield gating, better shield damage reduction, and overguard makes the Warframe's health regeneration support really obsolete. And finally, Oberon's slower, more methodical approach does not fit well with this pace, further diminishing his viability. The Warframe community has voiced concerns about Oberon's effectiveness. Common complaints include his ability's lack of scalability, high energy costs, and overall inefficiency compared to other Warframes. The forums, Reddit, and social media are rife with suggestions and discussions on how Oberon could be improved. But for this video, I would also like to pitch in some rework ideas for the Warframe, and I am proposing detailed improvements on his abilities. First of all, Radiation and Smite is pretty outdated right now, as we also got a Radiation mod for each weapons that doesn't combine with other elements. So what I'm proposing is give the skill a new functionality. Instead of Radiation, they can make Smite debuff enemies with damage vulnerability, or they can even turn this into a defense stripping skill that chains to nearby enemies. I really think that this skill should be repurposed into something, as even with the augment that grants radiation damage to weapons, it still can't be saved. For his second ability, instead of Hallowed Ground, I call it Hallowed Earth, and this skill will be an aura wherein it goes where Oberon goes. The aura will be at least 15 meters at base and can be increased with range mods. It will grant allies with increased armor the same status immunity and the same radiation that inflicts confusion and damage to enemies. They could even remove the radiation and turn it to damage vulnerability debuff, and make the first ability a defense strip, making the Warframe the ultimate support for increasing the DPS of the team. For his Renewal, I think it's really time to cut down the high energy costs, especially when you are providing the buff to a team. Renewal is being put to shame by the health motes of Wisp that can provide insane health buff and health regeneration without even costing energy to maintain. This ability should provide better heal, and it would be good if Renewal will have the health gating effect wherein you have a couple seconds of invulnerability, just like niche's warding halo. There's also the option to give this Warframe an overheal mechanic, wherein the amount of excess heals you get from the ability will turn it to overguard. And in terms of the Phoenix Renewal augment, they can turn it to something that grants invulnerability after taking a lethal hit, and it will then give a buff that grants damage reduction. Within the Phoenix phase, every hit that you accumulate will stack, and it will be released into a form of heat area of effect damage, just like what a good Phoenix Rebirth mechanic should be. And finally, Reckoning should be removed from Oberon. I like slamming enemies into the ground, but it's slow, underwhelming, and it even needs the help of hollow ground to strip the armor of enemies. Instead of this, rename the ability as Wild Shape that turns Oberon into a wild beast that destroys everything in his path. He will still receive the buff from Renewal and Hallowed Ground, but he can't cast his first ability, as he is now a rampaging beast that has increased killing instinct instead of logic. Every attack he does deal massive slash and bleed, and he also have different melee animations, and in fact, it would be better to give him a new exalted melee called Ancestral Claws. You can slam, claw enemies to death, or ram them to oblivion with his new ancestral form. This way, players can choose two ways of playing Oberon. Either they want to be that guy full of wisdom that supports the enemies with buffs and debuffs, or they want to abandon all logic and turn into a rampaging beast. We still don't have a shape-shifting Warframe in the game, and I think Oberon will fit this character. Lore-wise, it would mean that the Warframe will not be a paladin anymore, but being one did not work well with the Warframe, and a change of theme might revive the love of the Warframe community to the Warframe. The ultimate ability that I have proposed may seem far-fetched to the theme of Oberon right now, but it's still in the Nature Guardian theme, and I think drastic changes should be made to the Warframe to get rid of that stigma wherein Oberon is called a master of none. So this is why I think Oberon need a rework in the future, and some of my proposal. Now, I would like to know your thoughts about Oberon, and what do you think needs to change on the Warframe to make him more appealing to the community? Let us discuss in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again in our next video. Squad Leader, signing off.